Before the story begins, let me ask you something. What would you do if someone you love stopped talking to you for 30 years and then suddenly sent you a letter? That's exactly what happened to me. For 3 decades, my son and I lived like strangers. No calls, no visits, just silence. And then one day, a single letter arrived that forced me to face the biggest mistake of my life. 30 years is a long time to live without speaking to your own child. Yet somehow, that is exactly what happened between me and my son. There was no single dramatic fight, no explosive moment that ended our relationship. Instead, the silence grew slowly over time, almost unnoticed, like dust collecting in an empty room. Back then, I convinced myself that life simply got busy. Work demanded more attention, responsibilities piled up, and I told myself that distance between family members was normal. I believed time would eventually bring us back together. What I didn't realize was that time doesn't always heal relationships. Sometimes it quietly buries them. When my son was little, he adored me. Every evening he waited near the front door, hoping to see me come home from work. Sometimes he held a drawing he had made at school, or a toy he wanted to show me. His eyes were always filled with excitement, as if my arrival was the highlight of his day. But most nights, I walked past him distracted and exhausted. I would smile quickly, pat his shoulder, and promise that we would spend time together later. Later became the word I used the most. At the time, it seemed harmless. I never realized that every later slowly pushed my son further away. As the years passed, my career grew stronger, but my relationship with my son grew weaker. Promotions came with longer hours and endless responsibilities. I spent more time in offices and meetings than I ever spent at home. I told myself I was doing it all for my family. I believed providing money and security was the most important thing a father could do. But while I was busy building a future, my son was growing up without the one thing he needed most, my presence. Eventually, something changed. My son stopped asking for my attention. He stopped showing me his drawings. He stopped waiting by the door. At first, I thought he was simply becoming more independent, but independence was not the real reason. The truth was much harder to face. My son had simply learned that expecting my time would only lead to disappointment. So instead of asking, he quietly built a life that no longer depended on me. When he finally left home as a young adult, the distance between us became permanent. Our conversations were rare and awkward. Birthdays passed with short phone calls, and holidays came and went without visits. Slowly, the silence between us became normal. Years passed, and somehow 30 years slipped away. Sometimes I wondered if I should reach out and fix things, but pride and uncertainty always stopped me. I kept telling myself there would be another opportunity someday. Then one quiet winter afternoon, something unexpected happened. I walked to my mailbox and noticed an envelope with handwriting I hadn't seen in decades. My heart began to race as I read the name written in the corner. It was from my son. For a moment, I simply stared at the envelope, unsure whether I should open it. 30 years of silence suddenly felt very real in my hands. Whatever was written inside that letter had the power to reopen memories I had tried to ignore for most of my life. When I finally opened the letter, my hands trembled. The first lines were simple but heavy with emotion. My son wrote that for many years he carried anger and confusion about our relationship. He said growing up without his father's attention left a hole in his life that he struggled to understand. But as he grew older, he began to see something different. He realized that parents are human too, capable of making mistakes they don't fully understand until much later. The letter continued with words that were both painful and comforting. My son admitted that for a long time he believed I didn't care about him at all. That belief followed him into adulthood and shaped the way he saw relationships. But over the years, he started reflecting on life differently. He realized that sometimes people express love in the wrong ways. Some parents think providing money and stability is enough, while forgetting that children need something far more valuable, time and attention. Then I reached the final lines of the letter. Those words changed everything. My son wrote that despite everything that happened in the past, he didn't want the rest of our lives to remain defined by silence. He said he was willing to try again. Not to erase the past, but to build something new from what was left. As I read those words, tears filled my eyes. For the first time in decades, I realized that the door I thought was closed forever was still slightly open. That letter taught me something I wish I had understood much earlier in life. Success, money, And achievements mean very little if the people you love feel forgotten along the way. Sometimes life gives us a second chance, but not everyone is lucky enough to receive one. If there is someone in your life you've grown distant from, don't wait 30 years like I did. Because the most valuable thing we can give the people we love is our time.